Welcome to my channel. World Scene News. Subscribe to my channel for news updates all around the world. In Asia's turbulent geopolitics, Singapore stands out for its careful, deliberate diplomacy. This small island nation has mastered the art of navigating complex international waters, earning a reputation for being both pragmatic and principled in its foreign policy. At the crossroads of major trade routes, Singapore's prosperity depends on regional stability, especially as tensions rise between China and Japan. Its economy thrives on open sea lanes and global commerce, making peace in the region not just a preference, but a necessity for its continued success. Rather than choosing sides, Singapore's diplomats focus on calming disputes and maintaining neutrality. They work tirelessly behind the scenes, building trust with all parties, and ensuring that Singapore remains a reliable partner to everyone. The city-state champions a rules-based order, knowing that for small nations, international norms are the best protection. By advocating for international law and multilateral cooperation, Singapore helps to create a safer environment for itself and its neighbors. But the balancing act is harder than ever. The US-China rivalry has deepened, and Japan is expanding its military, raising Beijing's suspicions. The shifting power dynamics in Asia mean that Singapore must constantly adapt its approach to avoid being caught in the crossfire. Singapore steps in as a trusted interlocutor, urging dialogue over confrontation. Its leaders are often called upon to mediate, using their credibility and diplomatic skill to encourage peaceful solutions. Its leaders know that a China-Japan conflict would be disastrous for all. The economic and security fallout would ripple across the region, threatening the livelihoods of millions. Singapore leverages its strong ties with Beijing, Tokyo, and Washington to act as an honest broker. These relationships, built over decades, allow Singapore to facilitate conversations that might otherwise stall. Hosting forums like the Shangri-La Dialogue, Singapore provides neutral ground for military and diplomatic talks. These gatherings are crucial for building understanding and reducing the risk of miscalculation. The goal: lower tensions and remind all parties of their shared interest in peace and prosperity. Singapore's efforts help keep the channels of communication open, even in times of crisis. Singapore's approach is pragmatic, supporting US security while integrating China into the regional order. This dual strategy helps maintain balance and ensures that no single power dominates the region. Its diplomat skill has kept this delicate equilibrium intact for decades, allowing Singapore to punch above its weight on the world stage and remain a beacon of stability in a rapidly changing Asia. Prime Minister Lawrence Wong recently made a significant call for reconciliation between China and Japan, echoing Singapore's long-standing diplomatic tradition of fostering dialogue and peace in the region. His remarks come at a time of heightened tensions, underscoring Singapore's commitment to stability in Asia. Speaking at the New Economy Forum, Wong urged both nations to resolve their differences, especially the sensitive issue of Taiwan, by drawing inspiration from Southeast Asia's own history of overcoming conflict and building cooperation. He highlighted how ASEAN countries have managed to move past old animosities to create a more peaceful and prosperous region. Notably, Wong chose not to directly address Japan's recent military buildup. This strategic omission was a deliberate move, allowing Singapore to maintain its carefully balanced neutrality and avoid inflaming tensions. Publicly criticizing either side could have undermined Singapore's credibility as an honest broker and mediator in the region, potentially limiting its ability to facilitate future dialogue. Instead, Wong emphasized the importance of open dialogue over assigning blame, creating a diplomatic space where leaders can engage in private, frank, and constructive discussions away from the public eye. His message was clear: de-escalation and peace are possible if both sides focus on their shared economic interests and mutual benefits rather than their differences. Wong's speech also reaffirmed the core principles of the ASEAN Way: consensus, non-interference, and peaceful dispute resolution, which have helped maintain harmony in Southeast Asia for decades. In a world increasingly divided by rival blocs and great power competition, Singapore's call for finding middle ground is not only self-interested, but also vital for the stability and prosperity of the entire region. Ultimately, Singapore's survival and continued success depend on a stable international order, one where countries are not forced to choose sides, but can instead pursue peace, cooperation, and shared growth. Japan's shift in defense policy marks a major change in the Indo-Pacific, signaling a new era for the region's security landscape. After decades of pacifism, Tokyo is modernizing its military, doubling defense spending, and acquiring new capabilities in response to China's rise, and North Korea's unpredictability. This transformation is not just about numbers or equipment, it's about Japan preparing to play a more active role in regional security, and ensuring its voice is heard in shaping the future of Asia. This is more than new hardware, it's a rethinking of Japan's regional role, as leaders debate how far to go in redefining the country's post-war identity. China's military expansion and assertiveness in nearby seas have fueled Japan's anxiety, especially as maritime disputes and territorial tensions intensify. Prime Minister Takaichi's government is more hawkish, especially on Taiwan, signaling a proactive stance and a willingness to strengthen alliances with like-minded partners. At home, many Japanese remain committed to pacifism, sparking protests and debate. The public is divided, with some fearing that increased militarization could undermine Japan's peaceful reputation. In Okinawa, fears of being on the front line persist, as residents worry about the risks of hosting major U.S. military bases and the possibility of being drawn into conflict. Regionally, some Southeast Asian nations welcome a stronger Japan as a counterweight to China, but historical memories of wartime aggression linger, making trust and cooperation a delicate balancing act. Japan's challenge is to build a credible defense without reviving old fears, reassuring neighbors that its intentions are peaceful while remaining vigilant. The region watches closely as Japan redefines its security identity, weighing the promise of stability against the shadows of history and the uncertainties of the future. China-Japan tensions are deeply rooted in history, especially the trauma of World War II. For China, memories of invasion and atrocities like the Nanjing massacre remain vivid and politically potent. Beijing uses this history to question Japan's intentions and rally support, especially as Japan rearms. Japan, meanwhile, is divided. Some express remorse, others feel the nation has apologized enough. Visits to the Yasukuni Shrine and statements on Taiwan reignite old wounds and provoke outrage in China and South Korea. These clashing narratives make compromise difficult. Every dispute is layered with historical suspicion. Until both sides find a way to manage their past, history will remain a barrier to lasting peace. China's economic rise has been matched by rapid military modernization. The PLA is now a high-tech force, expanding its navy, air force, and cyber capabilities. Massive investments in AI, quantum computing, and semiconductors drive both civilian and military innovation. China's military buildup is reshaping the Indo-Pacific, unsettling old alliances and forcing nations to rethink their strategies. Its assertiveness is clear in the South China Sea and around Taiwan, challenging freedom of navigation, vital to economies like Singapore's. China's wolf warrior diplomacy and push for a new global order add to the complexity. For the first time in centuries, an Asian power can challenge the regional status quo. This new reality forces countries like Singapore and Japan to adapt quickly. The region's future depends on how they respond to China's growing might. ASEAN nations watch China-Japan rivalry with both concern and opportunity. Conflict would devastate trade and force impossible choices between China and Japan. ASEAN's core principle is neutrality, but unease over China's assertiveness is growing, especially in the South China Sea. Many in the region quietly welcome a stronger Japan as a counterbalance, seeing it as a trusted partner. Decades of Japanese investment and diplomacy have built regional trust, outweighing wartime memories for most. ASEAN seeks to maintain its central role in regional diplomacy, engaging all major powers but avoiding anti-China coalitions. The goal, a stable balance of power, where no single country dominates. For Southeast Asia, peace and autonomy depend on this delicate equilibrium. Singapore's diplomacy is shaped by the larger US-China rivalry. Prime Minister Wong sees the US-China contest as the defining challenge of the era. Singapore's strategy is not fence-sitting, but active engagement with both powers. The US remains a vital security and investment partner, underpinning regional stability. China is the region's largest trading partner and an indispensable economic force. Singapore participates in both US and China-led initiatives, integrating China into regional frameworks to encourage cooperation. The city-state rejects the idea of choosing sides, instead building ties with all major powers. This balancing act requires constant vigilance and agility. Singapore supports international law and maritime rules without being seen as anti-China. By diversifying partnerships, Singapore maximizes its autonomy and avoids becoming a proxy in great power struggles. Its approach is a model for small states navigating a contested world. Taiwan is the most volatile issue in China-Japan relations and the wider Indo-Pacific. For Beijing, Taiwan is a core interest, and any move toward independence is a red line. Singapore, like most countries, adheres to the One China policy but maintains unofficial ties with Taiwan. This careful balance allows Singapore to benefit from both relationships without provoking Beijing. Japan's recent assertiveness on Taiwan, combined with its military buildup, alarms China and raises regional tensions. The U.S. policy of strategic ambiguity is under strain as China's capabilities grow. For Singapore and ASEAN, war over Taiwan would be catastrophic, shattering peace and prosperity. That's why Singapore's diplomacy focuses on lowering tensions and preserving the status quo. The Indo-Pacific faces a complex security dilemma as China rises, Japan rearms, and US-China rivalry intensifies. Yet, pathways to stability exist. If regional actors prioritize diplomacy and shared interests, Singapore and ASEAN's approach is to include, not isolate China, binding it into regional rules and institutions. Strengthening forums like the East Asia Summit is crucial for dialogue and de-escalation. Economic interdependence remains the strongest deterrent to conflict. Initiatives like RCEP and New Trade partnerships deepen these ties, making war less likely. Leaders must resist nationalism and choose strategic restraint. Singapore will keep advocating for peace, hosting dialogues, and reminding all that prosperity is shared. The stakes are immense, but the region's future depends on wise choices. The delicate dance of diplomacy must continue.